A very good morning, class. So I hope you'll have gone through all the videos of Secretarial Practice, Chapter 1, Secretary. Today, class will be winding off with the topic by C, a certain question that is based on distinguish between all the different types of secretaries that we studied. So before moving on to the topic, let's have a quick revision of all the topics we covered in this particular lesson. So starting with, we finished off with the meaning and definition of secretary. After that, we saw how did the origin of secretary take place. Then we saw the features of secretary, of which smart code I have given to you all. So you can refer the previous videos. After features of secretary, we started with what are the different functions of a secretary. After functions, we finished what are the qualities required to become secretary. And last but not the least, we saw what are the different types of secretary. That is, there are two types of secretary. One is personal, which is kept by busy individuals like actors, politicians, etc. And secondly, we saw institutional secretary, which are of 5 types. That is secretary of a non-profit association, secretary of a cooperative society, secretary of a joint stock company, secretary of a government department, and other body corporates. Today class, we'll be focusing on the distinction part between all this type of secretary, which will be a brush up for you. So pay attention class as we start the topic for today. Distinguish between all the different types of secretaries. Now class, in your textbook, there are 10 points given for distinguish between. I'll be teaching you all the 10 points, but for your exam, you can study at least 6 points. So you can study 6 points so that out of 10, at least 6 you can write it in your exam. So there's no need to study all the 10 points. I will be teaching you all the 10, and then you can pick any 6 out of that as per your convenience. So observe the smart code. As per every answer, I give you one smart code so that at least you remember the head points. In distinguish also class, you have to write the head points and then explain. So I have made a smart code for you all. That is Dr. Papapal ने exam के लिए दिए हैं MCQs. So I repeat the smart code. Dr. Papapal ने exam के लिए दिए हैं MCQs. So all the alphabets which I have written in green, they are your head points for the distinguish between. So before we start class, फटाफट से repeat after me. What's the smart code for distinguish between? Dr. Papapal ने exam के लिए दिए हैं MCQs. All right class. So we start with the distinguish between. This is your smart code. Dr. Papapal ने exam के लिए दिए हैं MCQs. Doctor का D stands for duties. Papapal, there are 3 P's in his spelling, but before that R stands for remuneration. Then you have 3 P's. One is for purpose, the other one is for position, and the third is for powers. So first 5 points fatafat se class. D for duties, R for remuneration, P for purpose, P for position, P for powers. Okay. A stands for appointment. L stands for legal status. MCQs पे आते हैं. M stands for meaning. C stands for compulsion to appoint. And Q stands for qualifications. So class, the points are very easy. Any distinguish between? These are the points which you have to remember. So D for duties, R for remuneration, P for purpose, P for position, P for powers, A for appointment, L for legal status, M for meaning, C for compulsion to appoint, and Q stands for qualifications. So class, we'll see all the points one by one. Now the very important thing is this is how the distinguish between in your textbook is given. They have written all the 5 types together. But in your examination, any 2 out of these 5 can be asked. So there's no need to worry, as I've given you all the pointers. Any 6 you can study and write down the distinguish for the same. So let's start. The smart code will not match the order given in your textbook, but there's no issue. Only the very first point, meaning, should come first. In our smart code, meaning was point number 8. So what you have to remember, class, is meaning should come first every time whenever you start the distinguish. Okay, so I'm explaining you all the 5 together. So pay attention. Starting with meaning of personal secretary. Personal secretary is an individual appointed by professionals or busy people to assist them in their work. Secretary of a non-profit organization. Secretary of a non-profit organization is a person appointed to look after the working and conduct specified activities of the organization. Secretary of a cooperative society. Secretary of a cooperative society is one such member from the managing committee itself who is appointed to look after the working of the society. Joint stock company. The secretary of a joint stock company is appointed by a business organization to ensure legal compliance. And secretary of a government department is an officer to work under the guidance of the ministers or the department. So all this we had already seen when I was explaining you all the types of secretary. You can write all this in your own words as well, but see to it, the meaning should match. There were 3 P's, correct? So out of that, the second point given in your textbook is purpose. So what is the purpose of a personal secretary? To assist or help the busy individuals in their day-to-day work. Of a non-profit organization, to assist in promoting the activities of the organization. What about a cooperative society? To assist in safeguarding the common interest of the members. What about a joint stock company? To assist or help the board of directors in taking decisions and executive functions. What about secretary of a government department? To assist in carrying out administrative work under the control of ministers of their respective departments. So are you all clear with both the topics? That is meaning and purpose. Coming to next point, point number 3, appointment. Now, how and who appoints them? In case of personal secretary, it is appointed by busy people like doctors, lawyers, CAs, engineers, actors, political leaders, businessmen, etc. In case of non-profit association, it is appointed by the managing committee of the association. What about cooperative society? It is also appointed by managing committee of the cooperative society. What about joint stock company? It is appointed by the board of directors of the company. What about government department? It is appointed by the state or central government. So I'll clear with the third point, appointment. All right. Coming to the next, legal status. What about the personal secretary? The secretary has no legal status. मतलब खुद की कोई identity नहीं है. The company and secretary of the company are one and the same. There's no separate legal status for secretary as such. What about secretary of a non-profit organization? Again, it has no legal status. What about cooperative society? Yes. The secretary has got a legal status as per the Cooperative Societies Act. What about joint stock company? Yes, the company secretary possesses a legal status as per the Companies Act. In case of government company, the secretary is appointed by the government and therefore has got a legal status. So in case of personal and the non-profit organization, there is no separate legal status. Yes, in case of joint stock company, cooperative society and government, the secretary has got a separate legal status. Okay. Moving on to the next point. Qualification. There is no prescribed qualification for a personal secretary. There is no prescribed qualification for a non-profit organization of secretary. Again, there is no prescribed qualification for a secretary of a cooperative society. But in case of joint stock company and government department, there is a compulsion. The secretary must be a member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India in case of joint stock company. The secretary must be in IAS, that is Indian Administrative Services, in case of a government department. Position. The secretary is a personal assistant of the employer in case of personal secretary. The secretary is usually a member of the managing committee in case of NPO. The secretary is a member of the society and voted to become a secretary in case of a cooperative society. The company secretary is one of the members of the key managerial personnel, KMP, in case of joint stock company. And secretary of a government department is the administrative head as per the department or ministry. So with this class, 6 points are over. What all we covered? Can you all repeat after me? We finished meaning, we finished purpose, then we saw appointment, then we saw legal status, then we saw qualification and position. Moving forward, the next one, powers. For a personal secretary, the powers are stated by the employer. In case of non-profit organization, the secretary has limited powers for conducting the activities of the organization. In case of a cooperative society, the secretary has powers as per the Cooperative Societies Act. In case of a joint stock company, the secretary has statutorial. Statutorial, I already explained you all, which is permitted by law, regulated by law, and managerial powers as per Companies Act. In case of government department also, the secretary has statutory powers as per the ministry or department. Coming to the next point, duties. The duties of personal secretary are according to the work of the employer. Be he is a doctor or a lawyer or a CA or an actor, politician, all that depends upon the employer. In case of non-profit association, the rights and duties are governed by the managing committee of the association. The rights and duties in case of a cooperative society secretary are laid down in the Cooperative Societies Act. As per joint stock company, the duties of the secretaries are mentioned in the Companies Act, and he or she is one of the key compliance officers, KMP. In case of government department, the secretary looks after the work of the concerned department or ministries. So I hope you all are clear with all the points which I am going through. All right. Finally, coming towards the second last point of the distinguish between. Compulsion to appoint. A personal secretary, there is no compulsion कि आपको रखना ही है. In case of non-profit organization, appointment is based on the nature and the size of the organization. If it is a large scale, then maybe secretary will be required for a full-time basis. If it is small or medium size, maybe a secretary may be required for half-time, not full-timer, but part-timer, you can say. In case of a cooperative society, it is compulsory to appoint as per the act. तो आपने देखा होगा ना, जब आपके बिल्डिंग की मीटिंग्स होती हैं तो उसमें एक सेक्रेटरी होता है, एक ट्रस्टी होगा, बाकी मेंबर्स होंगे हु कंडक्ट्स द मीटिंग. आपके बिल्डिंग में अपॉइंटमेंट होगी, आस्क योर मदर और फादर who will be अ मेंबर ऑफ द कोऑपरेटिव का दिस थिंग, आपके बिल्डिंग का एक ग्रुप होगा जहाँ पे मीटिंग्स होती हैं, तो उसके मेंबर होंगे, तो उनको पूछो कि क्या क्या ड्यूटीज होती है, क्या क्या काम करते हैं, वो किस किस टॉपिक पे बात करते हैं. So that is related. So it is compulsory to appoint a secretary. Joint stock company, every listed company and all other companies having a paid off capital of rupees 5 crore or more should have a full-time secretary. Now listed company क्या होती है, paid up capital क्या होता है, this all will be covering in the next chapter. So अभी के लिए just याद रखो, listed company means जो stock exchange पे जिन कंपनीज का नाम लिस्टेड है, अब वो कैसे लिस्टेड होता है, कब होता है, all this procedure I'll be explaining you all in the next chapter. So just अभी के लिए याद रखो, every listed company and all the company which is having a paid up capital of rupees 5 crore or more has to compulsorily appoint a secretary. In case of government department, the appointment of secretary for every government department is also compulsory. So except the first one, all others are compulsory. Last point, remuneration. Remuneration मतलब salary or honorarium. In case of personal secretary, he or she is a salaried person. उसको salary basis पे रखा जाता है. In case of non-profit organization, the secretary may get a salary or work on honorarium. In case of cooperative society, the secretary may get a salary or work on honorarium. In case of joint stock company, the secretary is a full-time employee and gets a salary determined by the board. In case of government department, the secretary is a full-time employee and gets salary and perks as per the government rules. So with this class, we have completed the first chapter, that is secretary, entirely. Now I'll be keeping a Zoom meeting wherein I'll ask you all whatever doubts you all have so that you can clear it up. But before clearing the doubts, you first need to go through all the videos class. So please pay attention and go through all the videos. If any doubt, please let me know in the comment section. And if you like the video, please do subscribe to the channel and also share the link across with all your other friends. Before we wind off class, a small fun fact, out of which we finished the first one already. So here is the second surprising fact regarding secretary, which you all don't know. The secretary jobs have a reputation inherited straight from the 50s. But the truth is, offices without secretaries are disorganized, disheveled, and ill-equipped to handle day-to-day office demands. Secretaries are the unsung heroes of the corporate world, and it's time we give them as much appreciation as the CEOs or high-level executives. After all, those C-suite power players wouldn't be able to do their jobs without a secretary keeping the things in order. So the fact is, offices are actually run by the secretaries. In fact, the secretary jobs are so essential that many movers and shakers would be completely lost without them. They perform critical filtering and organizational roles for their bosses, allowing their bosses to focus on the big picture. For example, assistants are critical in arranging the meetings, organizing communication, maintaining databases, and bookkeeping. Many of them do this particular functions nowadays. So basically you can say, and as we have also seen, that secretary is a multitasker. So please do not take the job of a secretary as very easy or in your words like chindi hai, kya job hota hai? No. Actually, the offices are run and एक position में रहते हैं only because of secretary. If I have to compare and explain you all in short, जैसे बोला जाता है घर को मैनेज करके रखना, संभालना आपकी मम्मी का काम होता है. एक माँ घर को संभाल के रखती है, सबका ख्याल रखती है, देखती है कि सारी चीजें ऑर्गेनाइज्ड है या नहीं. उसी तरीके से सेक्रेटरी is that particular person in your organization जो देखता है कि सब काम अच्छे से हो रहे हैं कि नहीं, so that आपके CEOs, आपके बॉस, आपके टॉप लेवल मैनेजमेंट अपने मेन काम पे फोकस कर पाए, because they know that all of the daily routine work, administrative work, clerical work is handled by a very trustworthy person, that is secretary. So this was the fact for today, class, and I stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening to me, and keep watching the videos and do subscribe to my channel to get further updates. So thank you so much, class. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep studying and keep practicing. Till we meet for the next session. Thank you so much, class. I stop here for today.